The wind howled across the mountain road as rain poured from the sky like a broken faucet. It was the kind of night where even wild animals hid in silence. But Cole didn't turn back. His old pickup truck moved slowly along the muddy path, its tires splashing through puddles. He had gone into town earlier that day for supplies. Now, he was returning to his small wooden cabin deep in the forest, far away from noisy cities and crowded places. That's how he liked it. Quiet, simple, peaceful. Then he saw something. At first, it looked like a broken branch near the road. But as the headlights passed over it, he noticed movement, a slow shift like something breathing. Cole pressed the brakes. The truck stopped with a soft screech. He narrowed his eyes, peering through the rain. A shape lay near the edge of the trees, not an animal, not human either. It was tall, hunched over, wrapped in something like a cloak, and completely soaked. Cole opened the door and stepped into the rain, pulling up the hood of his jacket. He moved carefully, not wanting to startle the figure. As he got closer, the shape twitched and tried to move away. "It's okay," Cole said softly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm not here to hurt you." The figure stopped moving. Now only a few feet away, he finally saw her clearly. She was a woman, or something close to one. Her skin was a pale blue with a slight shimmer under the rain. Her eyes, large and silver, looked up at him with fear and exhaustion. Her dark hair was soaked and stuck to her cheeks, and small curved lines ran along her neck and forehead. Markings unlike anything human. She looked like she had walked out of a sci-fi film. But she was real. And she was cold, wet, and hurt. "You're injured," Cole said. She didn't respond, only stared, unsure of what he would do next. He slowly crouched and offered his hand. "I have a cabin just a mile from here. You'll freeze out here. Let me help." Still silent, she looked at his hand, then at his face. She had been taught that humans were afraid of her kind, taught that they would scream, run, or try to harm her. But this man just stood in the rain, his hand open, waiting. Finally, she reached out. The truck's heater blew warm air as the engine hummed. Cole kept glancing over at her as he drove. She sat stiffly in the passenger seat, her hands clenched, tightly in her lap. She still hadn't said a word. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to," Cole said gently. "I just want to get you dry and warm. That's all." She looked at him for a moment, her expression unreadable. When they reached the cabin, Cole helped her inside. It was small but cozy. Wooden walls, shelves with books, a small kitchen, and a stone fireplace already glowing with fire. Cole took off his wet coat and hung it by the door. "I'll get you a blanket." She didn't move. She just stood near the door, dripping water onto the wooden floor. He came back with a large blanket and held it out. She stared at it before slowly taking it and wrapping herself inside. "You can sit by the fire," he offered, pointing to a rug near the hearth. She hesitated, then walked slowly to the fire and sat down. Cole watched her for a moment. She didn't seem dangerous, just tired, afraid, lost. "I'm Cole," he said as he poured hot water into a mug. "Would you like some tea?" She turned her head slightly. "Tea?" Her voice was soft, almost unsure. He smiled. "Yeah, it's warm. Helps with the cold." She nodded slowly. He brought her the mug. Their fingers touched for a brief moment as she took it. Her hand was cold, but not shaking anymore. "You don't have to worry," Cole said, sitting across from her. "I'm not scared of you." She blinked. "Why not?" Cole shrugged. "You don't look like someone who's here to cause trouble. You look like someone who needs help." She looked down at the tea. For a moment, her lips trembled, but she didn't speak. Hours passed. The storm outside got stronger, but inside, the cabin, it was quiet. Cole didn't ask too many questions. He simply made her food, offered her a towel, and told her where she could sleep. She stayed near the fire, sipping tea and watching the flames dance. Finally, she spoke again. "My name is Naira," He looked up. That's a nice name. I'm not supposed to be here. Where are you supposed to be? Far away. My people don't come near humans. Cole nodded. Sounds like you didn't have a choice. She didn't reply, just stared into the fire. After a while, she asked, Do you really not fear me? Cole leaned back in his chair. No. Should I? I'm a scout. From a race your people call dangerous. I was trained to survive alone. Some call us predators. He smiled a little. You're sitting by my fire, drinking tea, wrapped in a blanket. You don't look like a predator. Naira tilted her head, confused. Cole stood and walked to a small room at the back. You can sleep here, he said, pointing to a simple bed. It's warm, and you can lock the door if it helps you feel safe. Naira stood slowly, still watching him with those silver eyes. You trust too easily, she said. Maybe, Cole replied. Or maybe I just believe that not everyone is as scary as they think they are. She stepped into the room but paused at the door. I'll stay the night, she said softly. But only for one night. That's fine, Cole said, smiling. Good night, Naira. As the door closed behind her, Cole returned to the fire and sat down. He listened to the wind outside and thought about how strange the night had become. A lost alien girl, a forest storm, a quiet cabin. He didn't know what would happen tomorrow. But tonight, he had helped someone. And that was enough. The morning came slowly. The storm had passed, but the forest outside was still soaked. Raindrops fell from the leaves, and the cold fog curled around the trees like lazy smoke. Inside the small wooden cabin, it was warm and quiet. The fireplace still glowed softly, keeping the air cozy. Cole sat at the table reading a book with one hand and stirring oatmeal with the other. His movements were calm, practiced. He had lived alone for a long time. But today didn't feel lonely. He glanced toward the closed door of the guest room. She hadn't made a sound all night. He didn't know if she had actually slept. She seemed like someone who stayed alert even when resting. Then, just as he thought of her, the door creaked open. Naira stepped out slowly. Her dark hair was dry now, falling neatly around her shoulders. The blanket was still wrapped around her, and her silver eyes scanned the room cautiously. Morning, Cole said with a friendly smile. You sleep okay? She didn't answer right away. Then, with a slight nod, she replied, Yes. I made oatmeal, he offered. Not very exciting, but it's warm. Naira looked at the bowl on the table, then at him. Why are you still being kind? Cole raised an eyebrow. Why wouldn't I be? I told you last night, she said, her voice low. I'm not just some lost traveler. I was trained for war. Your kind and mine. We fought before. Cole nodded calmly. Yeah, you mentioned that. But you also said you were alone. That tells me you left all that behind. Naira walked to the table and sat down across from him. Her posture was still tense like a coiled spring. But she took the spoon and tasted the oatmeal. It was plain but warm. She didn't say it out loud, but it felt comforting in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. I haven't had food like this since before the mission, she said quietly. What mission? Cole asked, keeping his tone light. Naira hesitated. Then she looked him in the eyes. I was a border scout. My people don't live far from here, deep in the mountains underground. We monitor human movement in the region. My job was to observe and report. But my craft was damaged in the storm. I crashed. Alone. And your people? He asked. I sent a signal, but I don't know if it reached them, she said. If it did, they might come. If not, I'll be left behind. Cole leaned back in his chair. Sounds like you've been through a lot. Naira nodded. More than I expected. After breakfast, Cole showed her around the cabin. He kept things simple. Wooden furniture, shelves full of old tools and books, a few solar panels for power. Outside, there was a small garden and a shed full of firewood. Naira watched everything with quiet curiosity. Her people used advanced, tech-built machines that dug tunnels through rock and tracked heat signals across miles. But this human lived with nature, with his hands, with peace. "You live here alone?" she asked as they stepped onto the porch. "Yeah," he said. "After my dad passed, I left the city. I didn't want noise and metal around me anymore. Just quiet." Naira looked out at the trees. "Strange. My people think humans are always loud, always building, always pushing forward." Cole chuckled. "A lot of us are, but not everyone. Some of us like to slow down. Listen to the world instead of trying to control it." She turned to look at him. "And you don't fear the world outside?" He shrugged. "Sometimes, but fear doesn't stop me from living." That evening, Naira sat near the fire again. She had changed into dry clothes Cole had given her, loose and warm. She still wore the blanket over her shoulders like a shield. She watched him as he carefully fixed a broken chair, using simple tools and wooden pegs. His hands moved with patience. "Humans fix things differently," she said. Cole looked up and smiled. "Yeah? How do your people do it?" "We scan the object, break it down at the atomic level, and rebuild it." "Sounds efficient," he said, "but maybe a little less personal." Naira tilted her head. "Personal?" "Yeah. When you fix something with your hands, you learn its shape, its story. You give it time, effort. You care for it." She went quiet, thinking about that. Cole finished the chair and sat beside her. He poked the fire gently, sending tiny sparks dancing upward. "I have a question," she said suddenly. "Go ahead. Why didn't you call someone? The military? Authorities? I'm not supposed to be here. You could have reported me." Cole stared into the flames for a moment. "Because you weren't a threat," he said. "You didn't attack me. You didn't break anything. You just needed help." "That's it?" she asked. He nodded. "That's it." Naira turned her gaze to the fire again. "Where I come from, kindness is rare. It's traded or earned, never offered freely." "Then maybe it's time that changed," he said. Later that night, Cole showed her the spare room again. "You sure you want me to stay another night?" Naira asked at the doorway. "Only if you want to," Cole replied. She paused. "I thought you'd be afraid of me." He gave her a small smile. "You're not scary, Naira. You're brave. And alone. That's not something to fear. It's something to respect." She stepped into the room but looked back at him before closing the door. "Thank you, Cole. Anytime." In her room, Naira sat on the edge of the bed holding the cup he'd given her earlier. She looked around at the simple furniture, the soft blankets, the wooden walls. She had expected fear, rejection, maybe even violence. Instead, she found warmth, tea, quiet. Her people would never believe this. One human, living far from war, had offered her safety without asking for anything in return. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But for tonight, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. The morning sun broke through the clouds for the first time in days. Its golden light touched the treetops and warmed the wooden porch of Cole's cabin. Birds chirped in the forest, and the sound of dripping water echoed softly from the wet leaves. Inside, Cole was already awake. He stood in the kitchen, humming a quiet tune while preparing breakfast, eggs and toast. The smell filled the cabin with a warm, familiar feeling. Naira stepped into the room silently, her footsteps soft. She was dressed in clean clothes again, slightly too large but warm and dry. Her silver eyes scanned the space, taking in every detail like a soldier would, but her expression was softer today. "Morning," Cole said, giving her a nod. "Morning," she replied, her voice steady. "Hope you like eggs. I've never had them before." Cole smiled. "Then today's your first time." He placed a plate on the table, then sat across from her. Naira picked up the fork slowly and took a small bite. Her eyes widened a little, surprised by the torture. "It's good," Cole laughed. "Glad to hear it." I've been cooking for myself a long time, so I've had a lot of practice. They ate in quiet for a few minutes. Then Naira looked up from her plate. Cole, she began, you should know the truth about me, all of it. He looked at her with calm eyes. Go on. I wasn't just a scout, she said. I was trained as a hunter, a tracker. I've followed humans before, watched them, studied them. I never hurt anyone, but I was sent to prepare for possible strikes. Cole didn't flinch. He simply listened. My people believed that humans would expand too far, too fast, she continued. They feared you would take what wasn't yours, the way your kind did in other systems. So they prepared soldiers like me to monitor human borders and act if needed. And now? Cole asked. Naira stared down at her hands. Now, I think maybe we were wrong, or at least not completely right. She looked up. You didn't attack me. You didn't hand me over. You helped me, even knowing I could be dangerous. Cole leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. My dad fought in the First Contact War, he said. He told me once, the real enemy is fear. Fear makes people see monsters where there are only strangers. I guess I believe that. Naira blinked slowly. He was wise. Yeah, Cole said with a smile. He also said aliens probably make better dinner guests than half the people he worked with. Naira laughed softly. It was the first time Cole had heard it. It was a small sound but real, honest. Later that day, Cole showed Naira how to chop wood. She watched first, standing a little distance away, then tried it herself. Her strength was greater than his, but her movements were too stiff. Trained for speed, not simple labor. He guided her hand gently, helping her grip the axe better. Swing from the shoulders, not the wrist, he explained. Let the weight do the work. Naira nodded and tried again. The log split cleanly. She looked at the broken piece of wood and smiled. That felt good. Most chores do, Cole said. They give your mind a break. They worked side by side for a while, stacking logs and cleaning up the area behind the shed. It wasn't hard work, but it brought a strange sense of peace. Naira paused, for a moment wiping sweat from her brow. Why do you do this alone? She asked. Don't you ever get tired of being the only one here? Cole thought for a moment before answering. Sometimes, he said. But I'd rather be alone in peace than surrounded by people who don't understand me. Out here, I can be myself. No noise, no orders, just life. Naira looked at him with a mix of curiosity and respect. My people would see that as weakness, she said. Maybe, Cole replied. But strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, like choosing not to fight when you could. That evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky with soft oranges and blues, Naira sat on the porch steps, watching the sky. Cole came out with 2 mugs of tea and handed her one. Thanks, she said softly. They sat in silence, listening to the forest wind. I used to think humans were reckless, Naira said after a while, always rushing into things without thinking. And now? Cole asked. I think maybe. Humans are brave in a way we didn't understand, she said. You care for strangers. You help even when it's risky. That's not weakness. That's rare. Cole took a sip of his tea. We're messy, I'll admit that, but we try. Naira looked at him. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I never thought I'd say this, but I feel safe here. Cole didn't answer right away. He just gave her a warm look. You are safe here. Later, as the stars appeared in the night sky, Naira stood just inside the doorway, watching Cole clean up the dishes. She spoke quietly. If I stay here longer, my people may come looking for me, and if they find me, they won't understand why I stayed. Cole dried his hands and faced her. Then we deal with it together, he said simply. Naira blinked. Why would you risk that? Because I believe in trust, Cole said. You trusted me enough to stay, that means something. A long silence passed between them. Then Naira nodded. Then I'll stay, for now. Cole smiled. Good. The forest's a lot more interesting with company anyway. That night, Naira lay on the soft bed staring at the ceiling. She wasn't thinking about orders, missions, or training. She wasn't worrying about danger or survival. She was thinking about a human, quiet, kind, and full of questions. A human who didn't see her as a threat, but as a person. And for the first time in a very long time, she let herself fall asleep without fear. The next few days passed peacefully. Naira slowly began to feel comfortable in the quiet rhythm of Cole's life. She helped him chop wood, repair fences, and plant new herbs in the small garden beside the cabin. She even learned how to make tea properly, something she had never thought she'd enjoy. Each day she asked more questions about Earth, human history, and Cole's childhood, and each night they sat by the fire, talking softly while the forest whispered outside. It was the first time in her life that she felt no orders, no mission, and no pressure to prove herself. She was simply living, but peace doesn't last forever. It was early morning when the knock came. A strong, sharp knock, 3 times. Cole had just started pouring water for coffee when the sound made him freeze. Naira was near the window, feeding the birds with seeds. Her body tensed instantly, her muscles stiffening like a soldier waiting for battle. "Stay back," Cole whispered. He walked to the door slowly and peeked through the small gap in the curtain. Outside stood a tall man wearing a long coat, a wide-brimmed hat, and muddy boots. His face was rough with a white beard and serious eyes. "Frank," Cole muttered under his breath. Naira tilted her head. "Who is that?" "Neighbor," Cole said. "He lives about 5 miles east, doesn't visit often, only when something unusual happens." Naira stepped back from the window. "Do you think he saw me?" "I don't know. Just stay out of sight for now." Cole opened the door. Frank gave him a long, silent look before speaking. "Morning, Cole," he said in a gruff voice. "Morning," Cole replied casually. "Didn't expect to see you all the way out here," Frank nodded. "Didn't plan to be. But I saw something a few nights ago. A light in the sky. Then smoke near your area. Thought I'd check if everything's all right." Cole smiled politely. Just a small fire in the woods, probably from the storm, nothing dangerous." Frank narrowed his eyes. "You sure?" "Yeah," Cole said. "Everything's fine." Frank looked past Cole's shoulder into the cabin. "Mind if I come?" And Cole hesitated only a second. "Of course." Inside, Naira had already slipped into the guest room and shut the door quietly. Cole motioned for Frank to sit down while he poured him some coffee. Frank took the cup and held it without drinking. "Stormy night like that? Hard to believe. Anyone would be out in the woods." Cole stayed calm. "Yeah, guess some creatures got scared. I saw deer running through my garden." Frank grunted. "Saw a footprint in the mud. Big one. Not deer. Not bear either." Cole sipped his coffee and shrugged. "Could be anything, Frank. You know how strange this forest can be." Frank stared at him. "You ever hear stories about what's out there, beyond the mountain range?" Cole didn't blink. "Plenty of stories. Doesn't mean they're true." Frank leaned forward slightly. "You're not hiding anything, are you, Cole?" Cole smiled. "You know me, Frank. I don't even hide my jam jars." After a long pause, Frank stood and adjusted his coat. "If you see anything strange, anything at all, you let me know." "Of course," Cole said calmly. "Take care on the way back." As soon as the door shut, Cole turned and walked quickly to the guest room. Naira opened the door at the sound of his footsteps. "He knows," she said. "He suspects," Cole corrected. "But he has no proof." Naira looked at him seriously. "If he calls others, if he reports me—" "I won't let that happen," Cole said firmly. "We'll handle it. Together." That evening, Naira stood outside staring at the sky. The clouds were gone and stars blinked above like silent watchers. Cole joined her, carrying 2 mugs of warm tea. She took hers, but didn't drink. "You should have turned me in today," she said quietly. "I don't want to." It would have been safer. For who? Cole asked. For him? For you? For me? She didn't answer. You're not a threat, Naira. You're not hurting anyone. That's not something I can just ignore. I made a choice the night I found you. I'm not taking it back. Naira looked down. Back on my planet, I was taught to expect fear. From everyone. My people told us that humans would hate us if they ever saw us. And what do you believe now? Cole asked. I think fear is something you can break, she whispered. They stood in silence for a while. Then she turned to him. Thank you for not being afraid. That night, Naira couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Frank, about what would happen if others came, about how long this peaceful moment could last. She stepped out of her room and walked quietly into the living room. Cole was asleep on the couch, a book resting on his chest. The fire was low but still glowing. She sat near the fire and stared at it for a long time. She didn't notice when Cole opened his eyes. You okay? He asked gently. She nodded slowly. Just thinking. About what? About what I'll do if someone comes for me. Cole sat up. You'll stay here, and we'll talk to them. Calmly. And if they don't listen? He looked at her with soft eyes. Then I'll protect you. Naira's eyes widened slightly. Why? I'm not even human. You're not just an alien to me, Naira, he said. You're a person. You helped fix the garden. You laugh at my jokes. You care about others, even if you hide it. That's more than enough. She didn't reply. Her heart felt heavy and warm at the same time. I've never had someone say that to me, she said softly. There's a first time for everything, Cole replied with a small smile. She stood up and looked down at him. Would it be okay if I stayed out here tonight by the fire? Of course. He stood too, brought over a blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. As he turned to go back to sleep, she stopped him. Cole? Yeah? She paused. I'm glad I met you. Cole smiled. So am I. That night, as the fire slowly dimmed, Naira sat alone, wrapped in warmth, not just from the blanket, but from something new. Something she hadn't known before, a sense of belonging. The forest was still and silent. The moon hung low, casting a soft glow through the windows of the cabin. Naira sat near the dying fire, her eyes half closed, wrapped in the same blanket Cole had given her. She wasn't tired, but peaceful. For once, her mind wasn't racing with orders or warnings. She simply listened to the soft crackle of wood. Then she heard it, a distant humming, almost like the wind, but deeper, with a rhythm. Her ears picked it up before any human could. She stood quickly, alert, stepping onto the porch barefoot. Above, the trees. A faint blue light blinked through the sky. Her breath caught in her throat. She recognized that signal. Her people were here. Inside, Cole stirred on the couch. He blinked at the light outside and stood up, rubbing his eyes. When he saw Naira frozen on the porch, he joined her. What is it? He asked. Naira didn't answer right away. She stared at the sky, the blue light moving slowly like a search drone. Then she spoke. They found me. Cole's face turned serious, but he didn't panic. Are they close? They're scanning. They'll land nearby, maybe minutes and maybe hours. Will they come here? Yes, she said. They'll track any heat source. Your cabin is the only one for miles. Cole nodded slowly. Then we need to decide what you want to do. Naira turned to him. They won't understand why I stayed. They'll think you held me or tricked me. Can you explain to them? They don't listen to feelings, Cole. Only facts. And according to them, I've broken protocol. I've stayed with a human. That alone could be seen as betrayal. Cole frowned. So what will they do? Naira looked away. Take me back. Erase this. Maybe even erase my memories. His jaw tightened. That's not right. She faced him. It's their way. But what do you want? Naira hesitated. Then she spoke clearly. I want to stay. The moment felt like the whole forest had gone quiet. Cole didn't smile or joke, he simply nodded. Then we'll find a way. They packed quickly. Naira helped him hide any signs of her presence, folding blankets, tucking away her things, clearing footprints around the house. She worked with the skill of a trained scout, but this time, she wasn't hiding for survival. She was hiding to protect a life she had only just begun to love. Cole adjusted the generator to reduce its heat signature. He shut off outside lights and pulled the curtains. "We can't run," Naira said. "Their ships are faster, their scanners will find me." "Then we don't run," Cole replied. "We talk." Naira stared at him. "They won't trust you. Then I'll make them." It was nearly dawn when the alien craft finally arrived. It landed silently in the clearing beyond the trees, its smooth surface reflecting the early sunlight. 3 figures stepped out, tall, armored, with sharp, glowing visors. They moved like shadows, fast and focused. Naira and Cole stood at the edge of the cabin waiting. The lead figure raised a hand. "Naira of the Eastern Watch," a deep voice echoed. "Step forward." Naira did. "You are ordered to return immediately. You've been out of contact for 6 cycles. This mission is closed." "I'm not returning," she said firmly. There was silence. The second figure stepped forward. "You have broken contact, disobeyed protocols, and stayed with a foreign species. Your memory will be reset, and your training will be reevaluated." "No," Naira said louder this time. "You don't understand. I wasn't captured. I was saved." The 3 figures turned toward Cole. "He is human," one said flatly. "He is more than that," Naira replied. "He offered shelter, kindness, no questions. He treated me like a person, not a danger." "This is not your decision to make." Naira stepped closer. "Then make it mine. Let me choose. You belong to the Order, not to this world." Cole finally spoke. "She's not property," he said. "She's free. And if she wants to stay, you should let her." The lead figure stared at him. "And why should we listen to a human?" "Because she didn't come here with hate," Cole said. "She came with pain. She found peace. And now she wants to live, not fight. Isn't that what your people really need?" The 3 aliens looked at one another. The air was tense. Then the lead figure turned to Naira. "Your choice comes with exile." Naira raised her head. "I accept it." A long silence followed. Finally, the leader stepped back. "Very well. This meeting never happened. You were never found." They turned, returned to their ship, and within seconds they vanished into the sky. Cole let out a deep breath. Naira stood frozen for a moment. Then she turned to him. "You could have walked away. This wasn't your fight." He smiled. "It became mine the moment I saw you by the road." She stepped closer. "I gave up my past today, and you gained a future," he said softly. Later they sat on the porch watching the sun rise through the mist. The forest was calm again. Birds sang in the trees. The wind felt lighter. Naira leaned her head on Cole's shoulder. "I was sure you'd be afraid of me," she whispered. Cole chuckled. "You looked like a lost soul in the rain. Not scary at all." She smiled. "And now?" "Now," he said, "you look like home." That day, Naira helped him plant new seeds in the garden. She laughed when the soil stuck to her fingers. Cole showed her how to shape rows, how to water just enough, how to protect the roots. They worked side by side, not as human and alien, not as enemies or strangers, but as 2 beings choosing peace. Naira had once been a shadow in the woods, a silent scout from another world, but now she was something else. A friend, a helper, a new beginning. And when the stars returned that night, she looked up at them and whispered to herself, "I'm not afraid anymore."